Welcome to Still Moments Studio. Today I'm going to go over my paint color choices and where they are on a color wheel. This is my palette and how I typically organize it. For the primary colors, I have cobalt blue, Winsor lemon, cadmium red, cerulean blue, cadmium yellow, French ultramarine, alizarin crimson, oxide of chromium right here, and then ultramarine violet I have up in this little corner up here. It's not used very often. Then for these common colors that artists use, my yellow ochre is right here. My burnt sienna is right up here, really close to my burnt umber because those two are very closely related. So where are these colors on a color wheel? I'd like to recommend a book. So let's go ahead and move all this out of the way. If you're trying to understand a color wheel, of course, I recommend making a color wheel for yourself to truly understand how your colors mix together. But this book right here by Stephen Quiller, Color Choice, Making Sense Out of Color Theory, is a wonderful choice that I highly recommend. So on page 17, he has this beautiful Quiller wheel that he's made, and you can find all your paint colors on this wheel. So if you're talking about yellows like these right here, lemon yellow is about here. This would be primary yellow. It's pretty true yellow. So my Winsor lemon is considered a cool yellow compared to a deep cadmium yellow right here. That tends to be a little more towards the orange range, and you can see how he's shown this on this color wheel. So when I'm painting, my cool yellow could be used in the background, maybe a little bit more shady or cool, and that would be a great use for that. Or my warm cadmium yellow would help to pull an object closer to the viewer. Then we have reds. So we have cadmium red and alizarin crimson. These are the two reds that I use. Cadmium red is right here, a little bit more towards orange. It is an orange red, as you can see right here in my well. There's quite a lot of orange in the color, whereas my alizarin crimson is a little bit more towards a true red, about here. Some would say maybe it's even a very slight purple hue to it, and you can see that a little bit in the coloring. Then for my blues, I've been using three blues. I have cobalt blue, which I've been enjoying quite a lot. It's a little bit more towards a true Winsor blue, so a true blue. And the particles within the paint are finer than a cerulean blue. If you've tried out cerulean blue, you know that sometimes it can puddle, and there's almost like these very fine grains of paint within cerulean blue, and you don't get that with cobalt blue. So I've really enjoyed adding cobalt blue. Then cerulean blue right here is a bright blue with a little bit of a coolness to it. And as you can see on the chart, it's a little bit toward green, whereas my French ultramarine blue is about here. Even though it's a very dark, robust blue, it is a little bit more towards purple on this side of a true blue. So it is considered a warm blue because of that red in the blue. I will tend to use this as a background blue occasionally, even though it does have that warmth to it because it has a deep richness to it, but it is considered a warm blue. For my greens, I've been using oxide of chromium green, which he has listed about here. I tend to call it an earthy green. He has a couple different names for it, like terra verde, oxide green, or earth. It's not one of these really bright greens off up here. It's got a little bit of a dirty shade, which is a little bit more realistic to me. Ultramarine violet is pretty much a true violet between your alizarin crimson and a Winsor blue. You can mix this violet fairly close with cobalt blue and alizarin crimson, but if you want a true purple or a specialized color, sometimes you do have to buy that color specifically. Last, there's yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and burnt umber. On the chart, yellow ochre is right here. So in the area of a dusty yellow, you might call it. So you have your true yellow, then yellow ochre. Definitely some warmth in it because it's on this side of the color wheel. Burnt umber is right here. It's pretty close to a neutral brown. If you want an even more neutral brown, Van Dyke brown would be closer, but burnt umber is a fairly true, slightly warm brown in terms of color. If you want to mix up burnt umber for yourself using primary colors, you'd use alizarin crimson with a bit of cadmium yellow to give yourself a red-orange. and then you'd pull the color in towards the center or neutralize it by adding a bit of blue, and that will pull the color toward the center of your color wheel. This color is used so often, I simply buy a tube of burnt umber. Then finally we have burnt sienna, which is right in here. So it's basically a toned down cadmium red that has a little bit of a softened hue to it, a little bit more realistic in terms of natural colors that we use every day. So I highly recommend this Quiller color wheel. This is nearly all the colors that artists use, and it shows beautifully how and why each of the primary colors is considered warm or cool, and how things shift to either side of a true primary red, yellow, and blue. He's mapped it out beautifully, so I highly recommend this book. This is copyrighted to him, so I do recommend just going ahead and getting the full book. He also has a lot of other helpful color theory information in here. For example, monochromatic and what that means. It has these charts of complementary color schemes, what a painting using color schemes might look like, what is an analogous color scheme, tertiary color schemes, and then he gives examples of how you would create 3 colors that are complementary triad colors and what that would look like, and how you would achieve that in a couple of variations. So this is an excellent resource if you're trying to learn any type of painting techniques. I highly recommend that you create color wheels for yourself so you understand your colors, how mixing them affects the shade of the color, and then how to gray each shade of color by adding the opposite color on a color wheel to bring that color in toward the center, just like you saw in his color wheel, how he mapped that out, with yellow ochre being a softened yellow compared to cadmium yellow. You always gray a color by adding the opposite on a color wheel to bring that color in towards a true neutral, that center space. So Color Choices, Making Sense Out of Color Theory by Stephen Quiller is a great resource. I'll leave the name of his book below so that you can check this out for yourself. If you have any comments or questions or any other tips to share with others, leave those in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.